Season 2 of The Last of Us has now drawn to a close, and with a final scene that was as tense as what we got in episode 2, I thought that was a great way to conclude the season. I'd say I definitely felt the lack of time in the world, with it only being 7 episodes, and what I will say is that despite the final few minutes having that tension, element of surprise, strong performances, and emotion that made season 1 so good, overall, I was actually a bit disappointed with the finale, but I'll get to that later on in the video. With the hunt for Abby not meeting its conclusion, but entering the 2.0 phase, and the final scene looking like it's very much going to be showing us Abby's perspective of her time in Seattle, which sets up season 3. Let's dive into this episode and break down all that there was to take away from it. Here is a review of The Last of Us Season 2 Episode 7 and the ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The ending explained. When it came to the ending of this episode, I kind of felt like the overarching message and feeling that it had was that devastation, terror, hunger for revenge, and the hunt that was going back and forth was something that was inevitable in this world, and that pain was always going to be felt no matter whether you got revenge or not. For example, there were a lot of parallels that were painted between Ellie and Abby in this episode, especially with Ellie being called selfish, narrow-minded, and it being said that she only looked out for herself. We saw that Abby seemed to have done a similar thing with her community of Wolf members in abandoning them, and she was also putting her closest friends, Owen and Mel, in a difficult position where she wanted them to go behind enemy lines, which was being deemed as a mission that would kill anybody that participated in it. So it was similar to what Ellie was doing with Dina and also Jesse. Ellie is an interesting character because in one breath she does come across as selfish when she says that she doesn't care about the community, especially when Jesse revealed that he didn't vote to go after Abby because it wasn't for the betterment of it. But then in the same breath she'll look to be stupid and sacrifice herself for a Seraphite that was being taken, even though there were 6 Wolf members and only herself and Jesse. So I do think she does care, but she's just extremely emotionally led. Her choosing to not go after Tommy and potentially save him, but instead risk it and go after Abby across a stormy sea did surprise me. Plus, her also not asking about Shimmer at all too. It really did show the narrow-minded, selfish approach that she had. Death was a core theme in this episode with the way that Nora died, and the fact that Ellie said how she was surprised how easy it was for her to just beat the information out of her and then just sit there slowly watching her die. Dina said maybe she got what she deserved, and Ellie responded and said maybe she didn't, showing that Ellie was now becoming aware of the cycle that was present, and that Joel did to the Fireflies what she was essentially doing to Abby's closest friends, and also what they did to Joel, showing that none of them are actually better than the other. They're all just stuck in this cycle of revenge, something that even carried through right into the final moments of the episode. When Ellie went to the aquarium, Owen and Mel were there, and Ellie confronted them on wanting to know where Abby was located, but they weren't prepared to reveal the information. You could tell that Mel was more inclined to, and we didn't know why at first. However, after Owen was shot and the bullet also grazed Mel, but caused her to die more slowly, we saw that Mel was carrying child. This is also why she didn't want to participate in the plan that Abby was carrying out of putting people behind enemy lines, because she wanted to ensure that her child would be safe and have some kind of future. Ellie obviously didn't realize, but with Mel telling her to save the child, it was a really powerful moment. Mel was Dina in that scene, somebody that was trying to survive and bring a life into a world that was doing everything that it could to eradicate it. With Ellie's mind being in the position of expecting child, that's why she broke down so much. Because she'd essentially just prevented an innocent life from entering the world, and she imagined if it were Dina, showing that the horrors of the world were felt before people even had the chance to draw a single breath within it. Tommy and Jesse ended up finding Ellie whilst she was sitting there and reflecting on what she'd done, and when back at the rendezvous, Ellie came to the realization that she may never find Abby. But what she needed to do was look towards the future and be at peace with the revenge that she got on those that were responsible, even if it wasn't the hand of the executioner. Throughout this episode, Jesse made it clear that he wanted to make it back home because he could sense that something was up with Dina and he presumed that he was going to be a father. He said the line, "I can't die." And in one of the most abruptest of fashions, Jesse opened the door as he heard Tommy struggling and he was shot instantly by Abby, showing again the parallels between Ellie and Abby. Abby lost her father, Ellie lost her father figure, Abby lost her closest friends, Ellie now lost her closest friend too. Abby believed that it was Tommy that was responsible for killing Owen, Mel, and Nora, but Ellie revealed that it was her. A line that hit so hard was, "I let you live and you wasted it." This was then met with the sound of a gunshot as the episode cut to black, leaving it down to us to determine what happened and to guess if Abby actually fired at Ellie. Personally, I don't think she did. Let's remember, Dina is also in there, and we didn't see where she was. So could this be a red herring and Dina maybe fired the weapon? After we were left in darkness for just a little while, it cut to Abby waking up and we saw that she was inside of a football stadium where there was a settlement and also a farm, showing that Wolf had a sophisticated ecosystem and a way of ensuring their survival with fresh crops, livestock, and produce. The real twist came right at the end though, where text appeared on screen and said Seattle Day 1, showing that, like had been rumoured in the build up to the finale, Season 3 of the show is going to be Abby-centric, and it looks like we're going to be seeing her perspective of her time in Seattle and what she got up to following her killing Joel. We know that Isaac Dixon was on the hunt for her, and it seemed like she abandoned his mission, so I wonder what drove her to that. All answers will most likely be given to us in Season 3, but I wonder if this means no Ellie in the new season, and if we'll pick up with the scene that we left off with, which contained the gunshot maybe during the finale, as this season was all about Ellie's perspective after all. My review of the episode. If I'm being honest, I thought the final few minutes of the finale were great, but for the most part I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought this episode felt really choppy and like Ellie was just turning up wherever she wanted, whenever she wanted. The fact that Jesse and Tommy were there in just a flip of a coin frustrated me slightly as well, and I feel like a lot of what we saw was really inconsequential, other than right at the end. Take the Seraphite scene where Ellie washed up on shore. What was actually the point of it? I understand we needed to see the island being invaded, but we kind of knew that based on Isaac Dixon getting on the boat. Ellie just rocking up there by chance, being faced with death and surviving it, felt like it was done to build tension, but in my opinion it did the opposite. It just disrupted it. Especially the fact the boat wasn't destroyed and her weapon wasn't damaged, so she got away easily as well. This was probably the episode where I liked Ellie the least. I struggle with Ellie because I really don't know if the showrunners want me to like her or not. Obviously, I feel like I'm supposed to, but she just does stupid things that make me not. Like when she wanted to save the Seraphite and she was going to reveal herself. There's just not much logic or intelligence in the character's actions. Like when she was also going to fire at the two Wolf members loading the boat. It didn't make sense. Plus, with Jesse also telling her about how she had a lack of regard for anybody but herself. It really shone a light on it and exposed her for the selfish individual that she actually was. One of the episode's biggest flaws, in my opinion, was that the characters just felt like they were transporting everywhere. The likes of Tommy and Jesse appearing there with ease in what was a horrific storm, and then us seeing them making it back instantaneously just bothered me for some reason. This whole season felt like it was about traveling and exploring, and in the final episode it was almost as if it didn't matter. When looking back at this season, I do feel like it was significantly worse than Season 1. The first two episodes were good and Episode 6 was also strong. Honestly, I didn't realize how much Joel's absence was going to be felt. That's something that I think does two things. It makes it immersive and it allows that sense of mourning to be present, as we genuinely mourned Joel throughout this season. But it does also deteriorate the quality of the show, as for the most part we were left with Ellie and Dina, and to be honest, Ellie was rather unlikable this season and Dina, well, is just Dina. I'm not that emotionally attached to her. The performances of them are strong, but the story just didn't feel that engaging. It's as if the thirst for revenge that Ellie had was on the back burner to this romance that was blossoming, and it was only when it suited her that the emotions would switch on. I actually think Season 3 could be more interesting than what this season was. Getting a glimpse into Abby's mind and seeing what she endured over those few days in Seattle looks like it's going to be exciting. So I guess for now we've seen the last of The Last of Us for what I imagine will be about 2 years. I am disappointed that we only got 7 episodes. That's poor form considering we had to wait 2 whole years. I just hope when it does return we get 8 or maybe even 10. Here's to hoping. What did you think of this episode and more specifically the entirety of the second season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.